everyone, welcome to Tap Live. It's been a while since we've had our Tap Live. I think it was in the middle of October. So I'm just gonna have about a little bit of a open discussion. So we have Tap Live brought to you by KingandQueenRadio.com and BrooklynStation.com. Tap Live stands for the Able Project. For anybody who's their first time listening, the Able Project is available at www.theableproj.org. You can also catch us on Instagram at the Able Proj. I'm going to have 10 minutes of open discussion. This is what we do here on Tap Live. We open up with a little bit of open discussion and just catch you guys up on what I've been doing personally. Your host, VMC, Veronica Monahan. I'll have a little discussion and let you guys know what I've been up to. I'm just going to catch you up on how my Halloween was. One of the reasons why I haven't really showed up to my Tap Live, I didn't really show up because my Halloween was a little crazy, and I suffer from epilepsy. And as many of you do know, I don't know if you're really familiar, but epilepsy is celebrated here in November. It's Epilepsy Awareness Month. And my Halloween was a bit crazy because I actually went to what was known as like a celebrated club because it had really flashy lights, and it was a little hectic, especially for a person like myself, because I suffer with not only epilepsy but photosensitivity. Photosensitivity, and not many people are aware of, is something that a person like myself is an issue, because when you're suffering in a place where there's flashing lights, it's an issue, because when you're sitting there staring at these lights, like strobe lights, flashing lights, or even sometimes just LED lights, certain types of bulbs, it becomes a problem because it could cause a seizure. So on Halloween night, I went out with my friends, and it was very, very troubling because even when we pulled up in the car, we saw from the outside of this club that there were flashing lights. And I personally didn't want to cause my friends not to have a good time, so I'm sitting there in the car, and I thought to myself, okay, how do I bring this to my friends' attention? My friends who actually know that I have epilepsy, how do I bring it to their attention that I'm uncomfortable going into this place? So I was thinking of a few approaches, but to tell you the truth, I kind of just went in, and I was uncomfortable. My heart was pounding. I kind of felt like a seizure was coming on. So in my opinion, I felt like it was not healthy to even be in that environment. I thought that the best thing to do would be I thought it was just better to be outside, or just bring it to my friend's attention that I didn't feel very good. So I did. I brought it to my friend's attention, and they wanted to keep partying. They didn't feel like it was necessary for them to stop enjoying themselves because I didn't feel so good. So in that situation, I didn't feel like I could not only be myself or enjoy myself, but I felt also like it was just uncomfortable for me. So in that scenario, I spent most of my time outside. I even asked a friend of mine if I could sit in his car. It was just very uncomfortable. So I believe there are other people who've been in these types of situations, not just in my particular situation, but many others. Like, for example, people who are in wheelchairs and can't access certain places, people who are limited, for example, who can't go, for example, to theme parks because you can't walk around. For example, if you're limited to the amount of walking that you can do, if you're limited to certain other types of things, like being limited, it really does suck, bottom line. But then again, when you have people around you, you also don't want to limit them, and it's a very difficult situation. So the thing is that what I did was I put myself in a position that actually hurt me days after. I was affected days afterwards because I wanted to be a part of the group. But see, my issue was that I was already in this situation, so I tried to compensate. But that's not good. And I just wanted to let everybody and my listeners know, and I wanted to let everybody in on this fact that I'm not perfect and nobody's perfect. And I wanted to let everybody know that I was put in a position where it was very difficult, but everybody gets put into that position. And I want to let everybody know that we all get put into these positions, these very uncomfortable positions. And it led me to this situation where I thought, my mind is a map, and we all get put in these positions where we have roadblocks, we have yield signs, and sometimes we get lost. But we have to stop forgetting that we are the ones driving, and we are in control of these situations. And even I forget this, everybody forgets this, but we are the ones in control of the situations, and we are the ones that can do what we choose. And it was because of that situation I realized that I am in control. And I want everybody listening to understand that we control our destinations. We're the ones controlling where we go, how we react to things, if we can turn left, if we are the ones picking and choosing where we go next. This is why I believe that everyone should know that we make mistakes, I make mistakes. Mistakes are healthy because we learn from them. And that also leads me to what happens next. I mean, I actually am an advocate at my school. I'm a graduate student. I study at the New School, and I'm an advocate for the Office of Disability Services. And because of that situation, I even brought it to the attention of the office. I wanted everybody to know that because of that situation, I feel like everybody gets put into these situations. People like myself, and it's better to have people who are aware of what's going on than people who have absolutely no clue. Because even the people who are aware of what's going on still can sometimes be like, I don't care. And that's what makes it even worse. So that's why I brought that to their attention, because when talking about disabilities, many do not understand how to refer to people without saying they, them, or other people. And this isn't just for people with disabilities. This is for people who suffer from mental health issues. This is for people who suffer from addiction. This is for all other people, the other people, they, them, and it's just not healthy. We are human. We are all human beings. And we have to learn how to, verbiage is very healthy. Verbiage is a very big deal. We have to learn how to address people like people. So my topic for today is discrimination in the workplace. And it is a big deal. I mean, like I said, verbiage is a big deal, and especially when it comes to who you work with. So I'm just going to take a quick break, and we're going to lead into our topic very quickly. So we'll take a quick break and come back. All right, everyone, welcome back to Tap Live. So, I was going to lead into the topic of discrimination in the workplace. Now, this discrimination applies to all groups of the cycle of illness, mental health, and addiction. Now, the ABLE Project focuses on these groups. Breaking down the cycle of illness, mental health, and addiction, the cycle affects all of these groups because of how they connect with each other. Now, that's what the ABLE Project does focus on. Discrimination in the workplace is definitely a big deal. It's a huge topic. It's something that many people face within the cycle. And it's something that is definitely a huge deal because like I said in the open discussion, when people focus on how, for example, when they discuss disabilities, for example, and people are sitting there on their phones and referring to people who suffer from disabilities as they and them, and not even including people with disabilities or people who suffer from mental health issues as actual people. Now, you got to think about this process. Now, for example, if you're actually submitting your resume, for example, and think about the application process. You're submitting your resume. Your resume is fully developed. It's beautiful. It's crisp. It's clean. You have all of these, this experience and all of these beautiful things outlined, and your photo is propped, and you look fantastic with a big smile. Then all of a sudden, you get into the application process. You're clicking all of these links into the application process, and then there's two things that bother people. Now, for example, I've heard it from everyone. All of my research shows. Now, if you can actually look into my research. I apologize. I'm just going to lean into this very quickly. My research is on the ableproj.org. You can take a look into this. According to my research, it has to do with not only the cycle of illness, mental health, and addiction, but also the cycle of dynamics between race, gender, and ability. And there's also a few other dynamics, for example, where you come from as well. For example, these dynamics and all of these other there's so many factors included within it as well. But if you want to dive into that research a little further, you're more than welcome to. And take the survey as well. The survey is available on my website. But moving forward with the application process, you not necessarily have to, but there's several applications that ask you for your ethnicity, race, and ability. Now, these are optional, but then again, when you don't submit it, where are you in the application process? For example, if you do not submit this information, what happens? Now, when you go for the interview, there is a gap and a proportion that needs to be filled. For example, whether it's for the city of New York, or whether you're applying for a job anywhere else, these are all these dynamics, like you're just filling a slot. And this is horrible because there are plenty of places that not only I have worked, but many other people that not only I know, but people who have filled out my surveys have explained that if you are working for a job that you've worked for up to 10 to 15 years, you are replaceable. And it's horrible because even though you can have the security with the American Disabilities Act, and you can have the security with federal laws from Substance Abuse and Mental Health Services Administration that explain these federal laws and regulations, you have to have proof. And unfortunately, these jobs and all of these corporations, they make sure that they have backed up proof to get rid of you. What I mean by get rid of you is they'll use any type of reason to, what's the word? Cut the cord, or not cut the cord. What's the word? The chopping block, is that the term? Yes, the chopping block. To just say, okay, goodbye. We're done with you. You have one strike or two strikes, and that's it. And they'll use any excuse to get rid of you. And the worst is if you have a disability or if you have any mental health issues, these are corporations that see other resumes that are coming in and flowing in, and it just gets worse and worse. So the thing is, it's just, it just keeps rising and rising, and now there's a rise of people who are consistently trying to have their own businesses, like entrepreneurship. So what I'm trying to explain here is that this rise of entrepreneurs happens from companies that use excuses to chop people and get rid of people. So it's like a, how do I say it? It's like a development over time, but this consistent development can easily be fixed. And I'm going to definitely lay into that. But, and this addresses not only people with disabilities and people who suffer with mental health issues, but also people who have suffered with addiction over time and feel like they've been discriminated against as well. Because according to the Substance Abuse and Mental Health Services Administration, with federal laws and regulations that actually give you safety and security with your jobs, there's no necessary regulations that state that there should be drug testing for certain positions. But then again, it's like there should be like no federal statutes on drug-free workplaces and policies. But there is, like, for example, how do I say it? There's no. It's like I said, corporations and companies always find ways. But after the break, I'm going to explain ways to overcome all this. So I'm just going to come back to this after the break, okay? Welcome back to Tap Live, brought to you by KingandQueenRadio.com and BrooklynStation.com. All right, you can catch the Able Project on Instagram at the Able Proj, and you can also catch the website at theableproj.org. We also have products available, new products available on the website. Definitely check us out. And definitely check out the research page. A lot of interesting facts. Okay, so as stated, we have I was just discussing discrimination in the workplace. So discrimination in the workplace is something that a lot of companies have been getting away with, and they definitely have been getting away with their ADA compliance, especially when it comes to, for example, trying to get over hiring people who are definitely qualified for positions, but then again, finding other people who happen to be fit for a position or more qualified for a position that do not need, for example, the time off due to whether it be, how do I say this? Like, for example, whether it be for hospital visits or, for example, time off for physical therapy or anything of the sort. For example, somebody who actually does not need that compensation. Now, as much as a person does have that protection, companies always do find ways to go about it. Like, for example, I mentioned earlier that they would say, oh, you're on your second strike, or this, that, and a third. Now, a lot of people are probably uncomfortable hearing this, but it does happen. Companies do happen to find ways to get over this. But like I said, over time, this causes problems because, for example, the company, they don't build trust with employees. They don't build trust with anybody. And the fact that these companies are doing this, it causes problems because, like, for example, they would be tied in litigations for how long? Because they're not compliant with the ADA. Now, there are protection laws with the ADA. And now, if anybody doesn't know what the ADA is the Americans with Disabilities Act. Now, that was established back in the 1990s. And that's something that we as Americans have the rights to. And that's something that not only applies to people with disabilities, but people who suffer from mental health issues. Now, you could definitely find all these facts and these links on my website, on the TAPT website. It's theableproj.org. These links will be available to you if you've suffered from any of this discrimination when it comes to your employers in the past and or the present. There's also going to be a fact sheet where it is available from the U.S. Department of Labor through the Office of Disability Employment Policies, which explains the myths and facts when it comes to getting hired. Because a lot of people will say, oh, I got hired, and then all of a sudden they got rid of me because of my disability. Then again, sometimes you do happen to be employed, and then the position just doesn't fit. Sometimes it's not due to your disability. Sometimes timing is off. Sometimes you're just not fit for the position. And believe it or not, it does hit home. I've been in that position myself where it just didn't fit. The position just wasn't right. And personally, I'm an entrepreneur myself. I have not fit a lot of positions due to the fact that I'm not exactly the perfect employee. I mean, it happens. But then again, definitely look on my website for these links. It's healthy to take a look and find out more information and find out if you have the rights to take action, especially for any type of companies or corporations that have taken advantage of you, taken advantage of your time, taken advantage of any of the duties and responsibilities that you have worked for, and these are definitely worth looking into. If you have a diagnosis, whether it be through a physical, emotional, or invisible ailment, and even through addiction. I have these right here through the Substance Abuse and Mental Health Service Administration. I will definitely post more links because there are definitely safety and security sensitive industries and positions that you definitely have to look into, because there's through the Department of Labor's Drug-Free Workplace Advisor, you could definitely take a look and see what is necessary and what is not, because there are some companies and corporations that should not be drug testing you, especially for no reason. As much as they should be in compliance, there are some that should not be drug testing you under no circumstances. So there are numerous federal requirements govern drug-free workplace policies, but there are some that are not required. So I will share those on my website. And moving forward, I want to give everyone a heads up that we will have that will be posted on my blog, and that's going to be shared. but I'm going to share some more information about upcoming events, and we'll do that right after the break when we come back. I just want to verify the information. I want to verify the information. It's December 7th at 6.
Yeah, December 7th at 6, because you said 6 to 9.
Yes.
So December, is this yours or mine?
Mine.
Okay, because I have the same thing. Excuse me, December 7th, 6 p.m. to 6 to 9, but I just put 6 p.m. I said Hell's Kitchen, but the address is 423 or 432 West 46th Street.
Oh no, I have the address. I just want to make sure I verify it.
Oh, yes. Did you saw you like the flyer I did? I just did that.
I like it. It was cute.
I was like, okay. I just did that and I said, I wanted him to be holding a string and I said, the heck with it.
That was very cute.
I said, I'll give you the rest. I'm gonna leave him alone because I don't want to spoil it because then.
No, that was
it
actually.
just kind of changes up everything.
It was very cute actually.
I'm glad you enjoyed it. The basic general information that I was telling everybody last night was that more information can be found on the websites. I wanted to sit down and actually formulate something, and I just wanna make sure that everything is right. I did say it's nonprofit, proceeds would be, given to various donations, because I had a funny feeling about something, especially after what I heard, so I'm like, okay. There's prizes, and we just don't want people to be lonely. That was my thing.
Absolutely.
And now it's like
Don't worry
something
about
else.
it.
So I just wanted to let you know that. Okay, not to take you off track whenever you're ready.
Well, should I even say anything about prizes, or is it completely different now?
Yeah, I said raffles prizes, yeah. I
Well,
said that already on
did
Live FM radio.
Did she say something different?
No, she was looking at it, the only thing that she stated was different was that it was for cancer. And I specifically told her it was for mental health. I just need to sit down with Veronica and we could come
Because
up with everything,
the thing is,
because she's doing this and this is what I'm doing.
Green is mental health. That's why. The green ribbon is mental health. Even on Twitter, it's
I'm wasting my time.
even the green ribbon is mental health.
I'm really wasting my time. I'm sorry I did it.
Don't worry about it. I'll talk with her. You can't promote two different.
Listen, I said it was for mental health.
I get it.
Then
No,
all of a
I'll
sudden
talk
it was
about.
stated on FM radio by her, cancer. I'm like,
Don't worry about it. We'll talk, okay?
okay.
All right. Ready?
No, because I heard you now.
All right, everyone. Welcome back to Tap Live, brought to you by KingandQueenRadio.com and BrooklynStation.com. As I said, you can catch the Able Project on Instagram at the Able Proj, and also on our website at theableproj.org. So, like I said, we have an event coming up in December 7th to be exact, and Hell's Kitchen at St. Clement's Theater. The event is called Green and Grinchy. All right, so there are going to be a lot of prizes, and there's going to be a lot going on. So you can find more information at BrooklynStation.com and KingandQueenRadio.com, available on the website. And so that information is going to be available on those websites. I'm also going to have a flyer on theableproj.org if you want to refer to my website as well as my social media pages. But diving deeper into November awareness, I want to dive into not only epilepsy, but there are actually a lot of awareness topics in November, which I kind of want to just graze over very quickly because, like I said, the ABLE Project, we are the Cycle of Illness, Mental Health, and Addiction, but we do definitely take into consideration everything. So for all that's being celebrated, there's Alzheimer's, definitely Crohn's and colitis. I see right here osteoporosis, but that's Canada, I believe. And I do also see, let me see here. I think I see, let me see here. American Cancer Society, but I'm not even sure if that's exactly this month. But November celebrates quite a bit. And I also noticed right over here, according to military.com, November has been actually celebrated as National Veterans and Military Families Month. Now that's something to celebrate due to the fact that veterans are a huge part of the cycle of illness, mental health, and addiction. Veterans do happen to fill that huge section because veterans suffer not only from illness and mental health, but definitely addiction. There are not only separate groups for this particular section of individuals, but for example, PTSD, anxiety, addiction, all of that, especially for these individuals who have suffered from such trauma, and these individuals who suffered from any type of illness, whether they have suffered from something within any type of wars, or even if they within the battlefields, or even during training, veterans are definitely a huge portion of the cycle, and they help define what it is to be a member. So that's why I want to acknowledge that November is a huge portion. That November I'm not only celebrating epilepsy awareness, but for all of those who celebrate November, November is a definite big deal. So on that note, I wanted to acknowledge all those who celebrate this month. And purple is a big deal for me as well. Because I'm also a consultant. I do help people who suffer from disabilities or any type of illness, impairment, or limitations who want to become entrepreneurs. Now, that's why I wanted to acknowledge the discrimination in the workplace, because there are many people who have suffered from discrimination, and I acknowledge that, who want to become entrepreneurs and have had difficulties not only getting work or keeping work, but people who have worked for a long period of time and have been easily replaced. And that's very difficult to hear from many people I know. So I wanted to just acknowledge that and let that be known. So I wanted to acknowledge those, let you all know about the event we have coming up in December, which is exciting. And when we come back, I will definitely just wrap this up and let you guys know what we're going to be doing next week on TAP Live. So we'll just take another quick short break, and we'll come back with next week's topic. What's the time? How much time we have left?
Like 25 minutes? 25 minutes?
How? Because I already took 15.
I'm going by this. Right now you're looking at 40 minutes and 15 seconds.
So I'm on 20 minutes? I'm on 20 minutes left? Really?
Yeah.
with the breaks and everything. You're considering the breaks with it?
All right, without the breaks, then it would be half of that. It would be that. It's up to you what, how long you wanna go.
No, that's what I'm saying. Are you considering the breaks with my time?
Cause I'm recording this, so I can put it up in the roster.
Oh, so I'm on 40 minutes. All right, so then I'll discuss my. Oh, so I forgot to discuss the tap hour. Oh,
Listen,
okay.
the floor is yours.
All right, so I gotta.
Walk away.
Okay, so I gotta set my time for it. Okay, so then. All right, so I gotta go on. All right, cool beans. Holly,
Yes.
let that go for about 5 minutes. All right, everybody, welcome back to Tap Live, brought to you by kingandqueenradio.com and brooklynstation.com. All right, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to talk about the Tap Hour coming up on Thursday at 4:30 p.m. So I'm pretty excited about this Tap Hour we have coming up Thursday because we're going to be talking about Prince. Prince is one of my favorite artists. I love him not only because he's going to be flashing one of my favorite colors, purple. Everybody knows that purple's my favorite color, but he actually had that color completely dedicated to him. Not many people know that, but Prince, born June 7th, 1958, passed on April 21st, 2016. He was known for his genre-crossing work and flamboyant stage appearances, but we're going to be discussing him in detail at the Tap Hour, and we're going to be listening to some of his top hits and he's going to be releasing some, we're going to be listening to the album that was released after his passing. But a lot of people don't know that due to the fact that I suffer from epilepsy, and I am going to be celebrating Epilepsy Awareness Month, Prince actually suffered from epilepsy himself, and he was very open about it, and he also discussed how it was his seizures that actually affected his stage presence and his way of, how do I say it, movement on stage. But it's really, really awesome. We're going to actually discuss it a little further on Thursday and get into it in detail. And we're going to be not only listening to his music, but a little facts of Prince, who he actually was inspired by, and just really get into further detail. But when it comes to next week's topic of discussion, we're going to get into our first doc talk. So I have not done this before, but I'm going to start doing it more often. We're actually going to go into this repetitive thing, but each month we're actually going to have this thing called doc talk. Doc talk is where we actually vent about doctors, and how we feel when we visit the doctor. Now, me personally, I have to have this vent with doctors. I mean, whew. Doctors in general are, I mean, I can't even explain it. I mean, I do need an entire show to vent about it, but it's going to be great. I mean, you could definitely listen in. I mean, you can call in. I mean, we have the telephone number here at 718-676-0820. You can also call at 718-253-4239. We also have a text where we have a number you could text at 347-699-6892. You can call in anytime. You could definitely call in now if you'd like to discuss how you feel about anything that you heard today. And Doc Talk next week is going to be great because you could definitely have an open discussion about how you feel about doctors. Now, for anybody who does talk to therapists, psychiatrists, psychologists, anybody prescribing you any type of medication, and even doctors on the general, like whether it be a general physician, for a person like me who has to see neurologists and wait months in advance to see a doctor, it's very irritating because, I mean, it's not just the doctor you have to see. Sometimes when you're waiting for not just a prescription, but when you're waiting for additional paperwork and you have to deal with the office too, it's an infuriating situation because, I mean, it's like it drives you mad almost because, yes, these doctors are people, but you're a person too, and you're sitting in the waiting room filled with tons of other people. I mean, and the worst of it is, I mean, we get to talk about insurances too. Oh, my goodness, it's going to be difficult conversation, but it can drive a person crazy sometimes. And crazy, I don't mean to say that word crazy because there's a lot of implications and stigmas associated with that. But what I mean by crazy, I mean it in the kindest way possible. Because, I mean, it could drive you mad. The thing is that there are so many things surrounding a doctor's office that a lot of people do not understand. Because there are some people that'll sit there for 10 minutes and say, ugh, why wait so long? But then you're the one sitting there saying, every time I'm here, I wait here for over a half an hour, but they know me by name. And these people that sit there disgusted after 10 minutes, you're like, oh, these are the newbies. There's just different stigmas associated with all of these. And I'm going to get deeper into the levels through Doc Talk. And we're going to have just different topics discussion with Doc Talk. So for the first Doc Talk, I'm just going to start with not just the office visit, but just how going about it. I mean, the infuriation with the sitting in the office, dealing with the insurances, along with, for example, dealing with, for example, if you work, how to deal with the paperwork. It's a whole detailed conversation. But along with the conversation too with your doctor. I mean, a lot of people feel like they just go in there and they're prepared. Sometimes you have to prepare questions too. And that's a whole nother thing in itself. Preparing the questions for your doctor prior to a diagnosis and after a diagnosis. But the doc talk is mainly about venting. So we're going to definitely vent through that too. But definitely listen in next week. So like I said, Tap Live is every Tuesday at 4:30 p.m. It's a live discussion that we have, and we discuss the cycle of illness, mental health, and addiction. And our tap hour, where we're going to be talking about Prince, is going to be on Thursday at 4:30 p.m. It's a pre-recorded show. Now, Tap Live, like I said, you could definitely call in at 718-676-0820, or you could also call in at 718-253-4239, and that's every Tuesday at 4:30 p.m. to call these numbers. All right, and like I said, Tap Live and the Tap Hour are sponsored by KingandQueenRadio.com and BrooklynStation.com, and you can catch the Able Project. Tap is short for the Able Project. You can catch the Able Project's website at theableproj.org or on Instagram at theableproj. We also have a Twitter at proj_able, so you can catch us on that as well. So we look forward to you guys connecting with us on social media, and we look forward to you guys catching our show next week. So catch the Tap Hour on Thursday, or just tune in next week, and we look forward to hearing from you guys. So tune in, and thank you for stopping by. Is it off? Is it done?
Oh.
How did I end? Bless you.